H. Hey, hey everyone. Greetings. This is Brian O'Shea and Naomi Wolf, and we are in the Lair. This is the show we launched last week.
It's very Larry.
It's very Larry today. We're very much in the Lair. And today we've got 3 topics and an update. And the 3 topics are HHS confrontation, disappointment and confrontation. Then we've got Elon Musk and President Trump having an argument that's definitely Brian's expertise and not mine.
My expertise. Who knows what's going on there?
Indeed.
Yep.
And then lastly, we've got what's definitely Brian's expertise, which is the CCP making warlike moves and drone warfare. Baby, stay in the shot.
Trying to get a drink. I've been outside working. Naomi was powdering her nose, and I was, fighting beasts and wild.
And then the last thing after the drone update
men.
is the bear update. So do you want to start with the bear update, honey? I know that's for it.
Well, he hasn't been back. So if you guys saw my tweet, I did not kill the bear. I don't think I did.
Do you want to tell the story of the bear?
Yeah. So basically, let me make sure the mic is here. So basically, we have a lot of bears. As you can see behind us, we're in a lot of woods. And bears are pretty normal. We're used to them. But this particular bear, he's not scared of anything. So he came back. He came the first time out in the open while Naomi was on Dr. Drew about a week ago. And I was cooking a hot dog in the kitchen. He's right outside the window. So I went and yelled at him while she was dropping F-bombs on live
Not
TV.
intentionally.
And
I was terrified.
He didn't even seem phased.
No.
Like normally they run away if you just touch the window. And then he glared at me the second time I yelled at him. Kind of looked like he glared at me. So I got this shotgun. I put some birdshot in it, which for those that don't know, shotguns are lots of little tiny pellets. Bear skin is pretty thick. I doubt it even pierced if I hit it. But I just fired a warning shot and it still didn't run, which is crazy. So then I just started going Blade style, hunting vampires, started shooting it as it ran through the woods. And it's kind of messed up, but I was trying to drive it towards the neighbors.
Horrible.
Well, I mean, they have more garbage than us, so they don't take the time to secure their garbage, and we do, and he still comes for hours. So not anymore, though. So he came back 2 nights ago. Naomi was getting some dinner ready. We look out the window. Boom, he's right over there near the just checking out the garbage cans. It's almost like we're a pantry for him.
We are definitely the local store, the local 7-Eleven for the bear.
Yeah, so I went ahead and went out there, and I had the shotgun, and he's dragging the garbage into the woods, and I kind of grabbed the garbage, and then I realized that's a dumb idea, playing tug of war with a black bear. So I got the shotgun and put on my leather coat in case he was rabid. That way I get a little protection. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I cocked it, he dropped the garbage and he turned to go, and I took a shot out of his big furry butt. And
but it was just turkey shot, so you weren't going to seriously injure him.
No, I don't think so. But right. He ran and tried to double back onto our property. So I shot that way, and then he ran, and he was coming out on the driveway. So I shot in there again, driving him towards the neighbor's house. So he hasn't been back since. So that's good.
That is good. I felt bad for him, especially because I
felt bad for him.
I know I felt bad for us too. I was terrified, but I did read that adolescent bears are kicked out of the lair by their moms.
He's not an adolescent.
He's not.
That's an old bear.
It's an old bear.
Yep.
It's an old angry bear.
He's not a cute bear.
Other bears have been cute.
I don't think he's angry. I think he's kind of like our former dog or our late dog Mushroom, where he's kind of like that old guy in the park that feeds the pigeons with his cardigan and just growls at the little kids. So I don't think he's angry, just ill-tempered.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny when you described that you were confronting him and you shot in his direction and he was backing away but keeping the garbage.
Yeah, you don't want to let that garbage go.
And then you finally got the garbage back and put it in the garage. It was like the battle over the garbage. Who won? Well,
right.
For now, you won. But.
Yeah, and then Naomi's like, I really don't want you messing with that bear. It's gonna attack you. You're gonna get hurt. I'm gonna be left a widow. And I said, his wife is probably saying the same thing right now. Like, hey, quit messing with that human. Now you got birdshot on your butt. I told you. And he's like, that guy's a jerk. It's community garbage. Anyways, I'm sure they've heard enough about the bear, but yes.
There's never too much about the bear.
If you go to Brian, I'm not Naomi Wolf. If you go to
Sorry, baby. I don't know how to.
Light.
Oh no, I don't know how to remove that.
That's okay. I'll take care of it. Why don't you give us some updates while I update that?
Okay. Well, I can update on our first story, which is, as some of you know, if you follow me, it's been a busy week because last week and this week, HHS announced and made a big splash with an announcement, very visual photo op announcement on X, which is not a formal channel or of the government. It's just obviously a social media channel. But there was a video op with Secretary Kennedy, whom we know and like, I just want to say, but doesn't mean he's doing a good job right now. And Jay Bhattacharya, head of the NIH, whom we love, who's our friend, who isn't directly involved in the rollout of the injection, and FDA Commissioner, Marty Makary, whom we don't know, and who's doing a terrible job. But basically, it was a very misleading photo op. And, these people who were gotten into their current roles by MAHA should realize that MAHA researches, they don't take things for granted when they're announced by the government. But anyway, in this video photo op, thank you, baby. It's much more comfortable. And I've got little Loki napping on my right here. So that's much more comfortable.
The tick whisperer.
The tick whisperer. It was very deceptive because the announcement was that Secretary Kennedy and Marty Makary had removed the recommendation on the CDC schedule for the mRNA injection. I'm not going to call it a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. It's a terrifying, experimental, deadly injection. We know that it's deadly. The data are in. And they said, we've removed it as a recommendation for pregnant women and for healthy children. Well, if you listened carefully, he actually said healthy pregnant women and healthy children. And then the kind of MAHA influencers went crazy on social media saying, ooh, yay, good job. This, hooray, he's finally delivering on campaign promises. Well, none of that was true. If you looked closely, he removed it for healthy children, but by his own analysis, Secretary's own analysis, most of the children in America are not healthy. And so that means that the COVID shot is still recommended for kids who are overweight, the 30% of kids who are overweight or obese, or kids with heart damage, or kids with autoimmune problems, or kids with allergies and asthma. They're not healthy, and they can still be targeted with this mRNA shot, which is crazy because it means you're taking an injection that by now has a warning label that causes heart damage in minors and giving it to kids with heart damage. Or we know that it causes autoimmune damage and they're giving it to kids with autoimmune problems. So it's really quite genocidal.
It sounds like culling.
It sounds like
some Nazi.
Exactly. And we don't say that lightly, or I'll speak for myself. I don't say that lightly. I always say, granddaughter of a woman who lost siblings in the Holocaust, but it does map to Nazi medicine, where they targeted the infirm and they targeted teenagers, especially, this is before the Nazis were even formally in power. Doctors targeted teenagers who had like mental problems or were vulnerable medically in other ways. And the other thing is pregnant women. It is madness. We know from our work on the Pfizer documents and from other people's work, but from the Pfizer documents themselves, that this injection is an abortifacient. It causes miscarriages. There's a section in the Pfizer documents where there's an over 80% miscarriage rate for women who took the injection. And then there's a pregnancy and lactation report. Bear with me, sweetheart, 2 more minutes.
No, I'm just letting you know the time so we can get it all in there.
Okay, thank you. So in this report that went to the White House in 2021, it showed 2 babies dead in utero, and Pfizer's concluding that their deaths were due to, quote, maternal exposure to the vaccine. So we know that it causes, we know the mechanism by now, it damages the placenta, it impairs the amniotic sac, it blocks the ovaries, it raises deaths in childbirth by 40%. And we're having collapsing birth rates around the world now. 13 to 20% drops in live births around the world. So if you look closely at what Secretary Kennedy said, he's not recommending it for healthy pregnant women. So he's recommending it for unhealthy pregnant women, something that's going to make them even sicker and cause their babies to miscarry. So that means, what's an unhealthy pregnant woman? A woman with preeclampsia or prediabetes, or, vomiting. My first baby, I vomited like crazy every day. That's, is that unhealthy? In any condition, but also if you look closely, pregnancy is listed as one of the high-risk conditions for which they're still recommending the shot. So it was very disappointing / I'm going to say immoral wordplay designed to deceive people. And then they rolled out a new Moderna COVID vaccine. And they also endorsed self-amplifying mRNA injections, right. Meaning it's going to shed from person to person, whether you want to have it or not.
I thought that was a conspiratory theory.
Well, it used to, as they say, it's 6 months from conspiracy theory.
Which is dumb, because if you get really, really drunk, you shed alcohol, everyone can smell you.
Everyone can smell you.
So why would you be shedding something that's constantly reproducing itself in your body?
Well, absolutely. And there's so many studies. No, baby.
I do.
Thank you. I don't like. But there are so many studies that show that women's cycles sync up when they're living together in barracks or in dormitories. So obviously something is being shed from woman to woman, and man to man, probably. And indeed, in the Pfizer documents, Pfizer defines exposure to the vaccine as including skin contact, sweat, and body fluids. So they're acknowledging shedding. And so last week, the Secretary Kennedy affirmed the new Moderna COVID shot and started work on the self-amplifying mRNA platform. So it's worse. In a way, it's worse than the Biden administration, because they weren't pretending they weren't doing it. They were running cover for it. This is good for you. But MAHA knows it's not good for us. MAHA knows this mRNA platform is deadly and sterilizing, and that excess deaths are up catastrophically. But Secretary Kennedy, our guy, rolled this out. So I proudly joined with Sasha Latipova, the commentator, Due Diligence and Art, Shannon Joy of the Shannon Joy Show on our network, wonderful commentator and our friend, and the amazing Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and of Americans for Health Freedom. And we wrote an open letter to HHS and to FDA Commissioner Makary, basically saying, this is wrong. You're not delivering on your campaign promises. You're rolling back your campaign promises. MAHA elected you, but MAHA is not going to stand with you. You don't own MAHA. Just reminding them, and this comes from my political consulting days, as well as just common sense from all these wonderful signatories, reminding Secretary Kennedy that MAHA can walk away, and MAHA can run their own, people who put their faith in Secretary Kennedy and his team to stop these injections can take their votes and run their own candidates in the midterms and run, support another challenger in 2028. So they better deliver on campaign promises. So that's what I've been up to for the last week.
Yeah. And, I don't even know if you guys would consider yourselves MAHA, because that's a Kennedy thing. You guys are more health freedom.
We're just moms and dads.
Or you could say, I'm MAHA, angry moms against MAHA. Seriously, I would not want this group after me. That's for sure. And I think and they're all great. But Sasha Latipova, I think she coined it. I'm not sure, but I saw on when they were talking about this new MAHA report on a different podcast, or she was on some panel. I forgot what it was, but she made a really good point that came up with the acronym ABV strategy.
All but vaccines. Anything but vaccines.
Anything but vaccines.
Yeah.
And so what that means, from what I gather, is, and I'm not a I don't research a lot in the health space. The way we look at it, she's doing that. Might as well divide and conquer. Whereas Kennedy's focused on that and Trump's focused on other things, that we're the same way. But it's so true. So what I've noticed is every conversation turns toward the food supply,
Right.
which is important.
Right.
But it's part of the picture. And when they want, you could have the healthiest food in the world. You could have all the raw milk you want. You could have all the wonderful products from our wonderful sponsor, the wellness company, that you want. But if you are injecting people
Right.
with something that pretty much attacks every part of the body, what's the point?
What's the point?
And it's also not a here and now thing.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, so back when I was in the military, if I went in front of the group commander in a tactical briefing in the special forces group I was in, as the intelligence guy, I used to give a tactical update on the intelligence situation, because we got guys out there, your guys are here, got some enemy over here.
What do you mean by tactical?
Tactical means kind of like local, smaller. So like, for instance, someone breaking into this house and me using me blowing them away so they don't break in, that'd be a tactical action. The DOJ overhauling things to make criminals stop
Right.
doing that'd be a strategic action.
Okay, gotcha.
So if I went up in front of the commander and I said, so we got enemy units bearing down on our Green Beret teams, and oh, by the way, Bill Gates, we got to stop him eventually because he's really bad and he gives a lot of money to East Bumistan, wherever we are. And so that my commander would say, so what?
Right.
And so when I hear all this, oh, we got to overhaul the diet and all that,
Right.
with this mRNA nonsense running around, killing people all over the world, banned in several countries.
Right.
My first reaction, I'm sure all of yours, is, so what?
Right.
That's good.
Right.
But no, we got problems now that we need to take care of. So that's
right.
what I mean.
And to me, totally. And to me, I would say, and it's such a bait and switch, right? Squirrel, Skittles, red dye and Skittles. Squirrel, look over there, look over there.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Well, it's unbelievable that they think, call yourself whatever, the non-Marxists, because that's what I call the rhinos and the Democrats and the liberals, but everyone else that, wanted to get away from the Biden administration. All of you all, hopefully us included, are very smart and became really incredible researchers.
Right.
Did they think people are just going to go
not notice? Okay. Well, that's how it started. The first day they had great press from the independent media and the influencers. Oh, they're taking this important action. No, they're giving a green light to injecting pregnant women and sick kids. How eugenic can you get? Sick kids.
And the influencers are a joke. And I'll tell them that right now. You guys are a joke.
Ooh.
Because no, they are.
Don't hold back.
No, I'm not going to hold back, and if you want to identify some of them, you can just go back to the binder bimbo time when the Epstein thing came out, and they're holding up the binders saying, we're going to go through this and get back to you. Like, the hell you are. It's ours. Give it to us.
Right.
But the thing is, it turned out to be nothing anyways. But the point I'm making is, we saw this firsthand. I won't name names, but we saw this firsthand. We're at a food freedom conference. And honestly, this is me talking, not her.
Yeah.
It got a little cultish about Bobby.
Okay, baby.
No, it did.
Must
yes,
we? Okay.
Yes. You don't have to, but I will.
Can't
attribute this to me. But it was almost like, here's an example I gave Naomi last night. Okay, you pretend to be me. You come up to this person and you say, hey, I'm really worried about the mRNA vaccine. Why is Robert F. Kennedy doing that? That's your line.
Okay, I'm really worried about the mRNA vaccine. Why is Robert F. Kennedy doing that?
Bobby. Shh, Bobby. What have you done for Bobby today is what you should really be asking. I mean, that's actually was the theme. And the food freedom people who are like farmers and everything, they're looking at the MAHA people that are there going, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
So it's a little strange that way. So go ahead.
Well, I will chime in, and
opinion.
I feel here's why I feel uncomfortable. It was friends of ours putting together that conference. We love the farmers. It was friends of ours, like we're friends with MAHA, right? And so as friends, all right, well, I try to be friends with everyone who's not actively doing evil, but at the same time, we have to call out when things are going really off the rails. So I will say that I agree with you about one thing, which is, and I saw it with the last administration and with Trump, you know, like people want, it's so weird, Brian, people want to substitute hero worship for policy deliverables. And I don't understand it. I've never understood it. Maybe it's just relaxing.
Wait, explain that, because it seems to me like if they don't get policy deliverables, they go back to hero worship.
Well, they stop caring about policy deliverables once they get their hero to worship.
Okay. So you want to, so you mean the reverse week? He said they want to substitute. Okay. I gotcha. Okay. So yeah, you're right.
Right.
Like all these same people that are like, I will, you know, we'll go to arms to get this mRNA stopped. They're the ones that go and.
But I mean, can I just say, when I was on the left and we went into the COVID and lockdown years, I saw the exact same thing. And I wrote 2 books about it. It's like, it's people were like, well, Biden is one of us, so he can't be doing fascistic policies. He, you know, the people who are rolling out the injection went to Princeton, just like we did, so they can't be murdering people intentionally or colluding with medical bribes, right? It was that, it's like a hypnosis that your own tribe can't commit evil. Your tribe can commit evil. This was like the great lesson of, you know, of history. Everyone's tribe, when they get into power, can commit evil. They're, you know, victims turn into predators overnight. And also, you know,
well, I don't think they're turning into anything. I mean, let's not forget that the core of MAHA, and I mean Kennedy's MAHA, they are from the left. They came from the left.
Don't put it on the left.
No,
don't
left,
put it on the left.
The left is terrible. I'll put everything on the left. They're the worst things to ever happen to humankind.
Baby,
since
you
the
can't
Nazis.
say Shannon and Sasha. I don't even know what their politics are.
I'm not saying
Mary
Shannon,
Bowden. Lots of people who care about health freedom are, who knows what their politics are.
But what I am saying is not Shannon, not those guys. But what I am saying is some people, none of the people you named, but the people making decisions, the people being looked at for, I don't know, Surgeon General, like they come from a world that's surrounded by the left. Kennedy comes from the left.
Susie Wiles, she's not from the left. I mean,
Susie Wiles is a whole nother class.
No, but you're lumping together corruption and partisanship, and I don't see it. There's corruption on both sides, and Emerald Robinson would be the first to say that. You know that when people
I don't need to do the whataboutery here. What I'm saying is I'm naming what's in front of us, and I will say this: the difference that I saw this past weekend, and by the way, our awesome hosts and awesome guests,
beautiful cows, beautiful dairy,
all that excluded. What I did see was a stark difference between the people that work with their hands and own cows and farms.
That's fair, but that's not a left-right divide.
Here's the big tell.
What?
I had a MAGA hat on.
Oh,
not a MAHA hat, a MAGA hat, and
you rabble rouser.
I was met with the same controlled rage and sometimes uncontrolled rage that I'd be met with from people supporting Biden Harris. Like I actually had a woman say to me, I can't believe you'd wear that hat in here.
Wow.
And I'm like, I could have sworn Kennedy and Trump were on the same team. You know, call me crazy. Did I miss something? You know, but like literally people were glaring at me.
But I mean, to be fair, darling,
and not the farmers, the laptop class MAHA.
Totally. But just to push back a little, coming from the left as I do, and all those judgy older ladies as I do, right?
I kind of find all old ladies to be judgy, but that's a different topic. So go ahead.
They would, a lot of the people would expect, organic food, you know, farm to table. This is a crunchy granola hippie lefty issue. It's not a MAGA issue. So I think I just think you're mushing together, you know, partisanship and corruption. And I'd rather go back to people getting hypnotized by their own guy in power and personalizing it. Like, this is what is driving me crazy. If you may, like, I have had so much respect for RFK Jr. I hope he course corrects right away. I'm standing by to help in the administration in any way I can. I'm not trying to tear anything down. But the way the people who should be screaming about the mRNA vaccine being rolled out by him are reacting. It's very personalizing. It's very like, well, there are unseen forces constraining what Bobby can do. And there are people, and Marty McCarr even said, there are people here at the FDA who are, trying to subvert our agenda. And I'm like, and I've been around the White House in the old executive office building in 2 different roles, as a White House spouse and as a political consultant. And I am going to say over and over and over, they are in charge. They are the bosses. And you know this.
Secretary
right?
of HHS is one of the most, if not the most powerful positions. It's got a giant budget, bigger than DOD's.
Wow.
Yes.
That's shocking.
And if you look at the org chart of HHS, we're talking FDA, NIH,
NIAID, CDC.
NIAID, more than that.
Yeah.
Tribal affairs,
wow.
We're talking gun control.
Wow. Everything's
everything that affects your personal life is under HHS,
right?
And their budget is massive. In my opinion, speaking of tearing things down, my hope was that we get someone into HHS to tear that down, because that's the biggest government monopoly out there. It's horrible.
And you made a really good point throughout the lockdowns and the vaccine mandates that it's HHS that's the front lines of the control grid, basically.
Look at Los Angeles Unified School District masking up probably to this day.
Yeah.
And I and another person on Twitter, she wrote it up. I passed it to her. Mm-hmm. We found out that HHS, through one cutout nonprofit, which then would come out to the counties from Haluna Health, HELUNA, in Los Angeles anyways, that's how they were pushing masks. That's how they were pushing vaccines.
Oh, so
you look
gross.
at Massachusetts, who's contracted with HHS? A little company called color.org, who would ride along for all of the shots. First they rode along for the testing, then Color rode along for the shots. Well, what does Color do? They're a big genomics collection company.
Oh my God.
Who passes their stuff to Germany, and then it goes to Big. And you know what Big is?
China?
Beijing Institute of
There
Genomics.
You go. It always goes back. All roads lead to China.
It's worse than look, I mean, you want to play a dark drinking game?
Sure.
Do you could do 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, or you could do 3 degrees to the CDC. To
CCP.
Oops. Freudian slip. CCP, and you'll get to the CCP way quicker every time.
Well, yes, you've persuaded me of that. But to wrap up this segment, I just think it's so important for people to keep their, to not get distracted, keep their eyes on actual policy deliverables and not get swept up in the cult of personality. History shows that the cult of personality is a cover for all kinds of atrocities. And it just makes you not think clearly. Oh, that's our friend. That's our guy. Nonsense. No one's your guy. In a democracy, they work for us and they have to deliver. And everyone, the last thing I will say, and I promise I'll stop, is at that level, everyone's surrounded by multiple agendas, pressure groups, interest groups, coercion, threats, bribery. That just goes with the territory. And leadership is standing up to that and fighting back to get the agenda to the base, or resigning, one or the other.
Well, I got my own theory as what's going on there.
Well, if it's libelous, please don't say it.
It's not libelous. It's a theory. It's an opinion. In my opinion, there's a lot of never Trumpers in key positions who want to push their own guy for the next election.
Right.
They're going about it horribly. But that's the agenda.
Oh, they're trying to make everyone mad at RFK Jr. so that he's not the nominee. Is that what you're saying? No.
What I think is going to happen is, because I already got wind that this is the rumor circulating around certain circles, that, he wanted to stop it, but Trump loves the vaccine, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you got a source for that?
Right.
And he said, well, no, these are just people I know, but they're reliable. I said, it's anecdotal.
Okay, but how does that relate to?
So what you do is you do the tell-all, or you do the expose, you leak some emails, and you say it's Trump's fault that the vaccine went out, not RFK's.
And then he has a clear run for, oh my God.
That's what it sounds like to me.
But why would they destroy his relationship with his base before getting to that point?
Well, really, what is his base?
We were his base.
I wasn't his.
I was his base.
I was Trump's base. I wasn't.
Well, you're MAGA, I'm MAHA. That's why the marriage works.
Well, I don't think they foresaw like your group that came together, where because we saw the cult, you know, the gatekeepers are like, you know, but Bobby, you know, and that's the thing. And so, people never. I mean, look, you know how people plan. They plan horribly. They never do the customer research.
Right.
They never like maybe put their toe in the water to say, wonder if they will like this.
Right.
And we'll shift it to food.
Right.
And they won't even notice. Or mushrooms.
Yeah.
And
mushrooms.
While we're doing that, let's invest in some mushroom companies, make sure they get the government contracts.
Right. You exposed that story in our last segment.
Sorry, I'm a little pissed off about this whole thing.
You should be. This was, I mean, we were going to have a long vacation because the good guys got in. And
well, you were. I kept telling them.
I know. Brian says war never ends.
It never ends. Battles end.
Battles end, but not war. Well, I'm learning, sweetheart.
Oh, that's nice.
But, thank you very much. Let's go to the next segment, sweetheart. And let's hope that our person we like so much before he derailed the policy will get back on track. Let's end.
Well, before we go there, let's talk about my favorite drink every morning, is Native Path. And no, why are you laughing? I really love it. Like, I actually hide the Native Hydrate from Native Path from Naomi.
Really?
Yeah, I hide it in the back of the fridge, or I'll put it in something like not organic Native Path.
Is that what you're doing?
I do.
That's
that's why all the collagen is in Ziploc bags.
Oh my God, I couldn't identify.
I was hoping you'd think I was in some illicit cocaine trade and just avoid them.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's collagen. It's so many products over there. We do
love this stuff,
especially the collagen, because it's good for hair, nails, and just joints and overall health and energy. So if you go to nativehydrate.com, is that still active, actually? Yes. Okay, good. Or you could
/ Daily Cloud,
or you could just go to Get Native Path on the ticker down below / Daily Cloud. You will get 10% off, but the stuff is awesome, and you can do subscriptions, which I actually started one, so we always have it.
Oh, is that why we always have it?
No, we have it because they sent us a lot of samples. And then I bought some more,
right? Because
I couldn't live without it. Because when we went on that cruise,
we didn't have it, and we got so cranky.
God, I was so cranky.
Yeah.
So, and the way I look at it too, the healthier your body is, the clearer you can think. You're gonna have more energy, because obviously there's a lot more battles to fight. So, again, go to getnativepath.com / Daily Clout. Get yours today and let us know what you think. We love this sponsor, and we use the sponsor's product, so we're very happy with them.
We apparently fight over the sponsor's products. You hide it in the back of the fridge, so I won't.
We do. We do. And actually, while we're at it, the other sponsor is the wellness company, who, for some reason, man, the wellness company, they remind me of, like, I'm gonna regret saying this, but you know what I always say about the CIA?
You say various things about the
CIA. Everyone's always like, oh, it's the CIA that did this. Hell, when I met you, you thought it was the CIA.
I was terrified of you.
And I said, unless you have a dirty bomb under your bed, it's probably not the case. Even then, it would be the FBI. But, I always make the joke about the CIA. Like, they get blamed on everything that private contractors and the FBI does, because FBI will start whisper campaigns saying it's the CIA that did this. And the CIA can't confirm or deny it. They're busy doing other things overseas. Not shilling for the CIA. They've got their own issues. But what I am saying is, a lot of the things that people say, oh, that's the CIA. I'm like, no, it's not.
Where are you going with this?
Where I'm going with it is the wellness company. They're like so busy, like coming out with new products and really good products that we use every single day. But like, they're like
everyone hates them.
I don't know why. It's like they don't all hate them, because they
have enemies, I should say. Their customers love them.
Yeah, they have enemies because they were out first. Right. They're the most responsible company out there. That's true. And they don't, they stand by their products, and they stand by their values, and they have really good doctors like Dr. McCullough and Dr. Harvey Risch and Dr. Drew, Dr. Hadar. Yeah. So
Dr. Victory.
While we're talking, I'm looking for our wellness company banner, which I don't see.
That's
there
okay.
It is. Okay.
There it is. So there you are.
I take the buffalo organs, which are great.
You're terrifying when you take the buffalo organs.
So yeah, you bet I am. Bear. But the thing is, the buffalo organs, what it is freeze-dried grass-fed bison, and they harvest the heart, liver, and kidney. And this is exactly what First Nations people or Native Americans, this is what they'd eat. They'd always go for these things. Or if you saw Red Dawn, when they kill the deer, of course, they go for the heart. Or like our friend Steve Bannon likes to say, what happens in Jaws is, Orca always kills Jaws and he goes for the liver, because that's where all the nutrients are. And when you take this stuff, it is energy all day long, but you just get stronger and, I don't know. I don't want to say more animal-like, but
more animal-like,
strong like bull.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And so check it out. That's just one of their many products. The other one is, okay, how many ticks have you seen?
So many ticks.
We have so many ticks out here. And that one you could blame on Bill Gates or one of those people. There's so many ticks in the Hudson Valley. Worse this year than we've ever seen it. 20 on our dog 2 weeks ago. 5 on him yesterday. 2 on you.
Right.
2 on me this week. And we're not even going into the woods. I don't know if they're coming in from the trees. The point is, ticks, they carry, a lot of them carry Lyme disease, and Lyme disease is this horrible, debilitating, some say incurable disease that makes your joints go on fire, takes away your energy, everything like that. The only way to really fight it that they know of is doxycycline.
Right.
Doxycycline is what we used to take when we go overseas.
Right.
You always take doxycycline when you're going to Southeast Asia, for instance. Well, the wellness company has a series of kits, the contagion kit, the emergency medical kit, which we have. And in that, there's 100 pills of doxycycline pre-prescribed to us.
Super helpful.
After they make sure we don't have allergies to anything, because there is a consult that you do beforehand. And having that doxy on hand is great.
It's very reassuring.
You got 48 hours.
Yeah.
Other things like amoxicillin.
And it saves money too, because every time you see a doctor, it's $150.
And, consult with your veterinarian. In reduced doses, you can give it to your dog to keep them from getting Lyme disease. So go to, what you want to do is go to the wellness
companies right there.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. There it is. Wellness company, go to dailyclouthealth.com, use promo code dailyclout, get 10% off. You're going to love their products. And they're coming out with new products every day. I really, really love this sponsor. So
okay, awesome and very important. Can we, at the time we have left, we have to cover drones and the Elon Trump fight. So let's start with the Elon Trump fight.
No, let's end with that because that's kind of humorous.
Okay.
The drones. So I had my good friend Brandon Weichart on investigate everything the other night. And it's really, really interesting and terrible and deadly what's happening as of the Ukraine war. So Ukraine, to fight back, and this is for real, it's not as successful as a report, but Ukraine, having sold half of the weapons we sent them to the European black market, realized they were out of ammo and guns, so they started flying drones. What they do, these are a lot simpler than the drones you see on the movies, our big drones. It's not like that. They're literally taking like DJI Mavic 3s, which
you have.
I do have. And they are strapping mortar rounds and grenades onto them. And then using the first person view, which is the later model. Mine's the first model, but it can still carry a lot. And then they just fly these things into targets.
Unbelievable.
And so what's happened is they obviously have some outside support, because I could buy a drone and do that any day of the week, but the way they hit that airbase, apparently
tell people what airbase. In case
sorry. So
please.
Ukraine had a very successful attack on a strategic airbase about 4,000 miles into Russia. And they said it was a drone strike. So the first thing I thought when I heard that, I'm like, well, I don't know many drones that can go 3,000 or 4,000 miles, if any, except for not even our strategic drones can do that. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, well, how the hell did they do that? Well, as it turns out, they have these drones stacked in the back of semi-trailer trucks.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And they're stacked in, they're pre-charged, they're ready to go. And they've got about 25 per row.
Wow.
And then they have several rows. And what happens, they drive these semi-trailer trucks deep into Russia.
How do they get them deep into Russia?
They have insiders. There's sympathizers.
Wow.
There must be. And or I don't know, maybe they have some.
Could they be like
they could be US personnel. You never know.
Oh my God.
Don't forget, we used to work with the Spetsnaz,
right.
So we know the territory well.
Yes.
And so anyways, these guys, they park them under trees. They'll park them next to like factories and where they'll really blend these, and they'll sit there for 2 or 3 days. And that's what happened here. And then when it's time to strike, the signal goes out, and somehow they have these automated. Now that's a high level of tech.
Wow.
They don't have a bunch of guys. It's one man per drone. You're not going to have that. So somehow they have a way of controlling all these drones at once. I've only seen that technology in China, who who also makes DJI.
Oh my God.
But anyone could buy it. But
right.
The thing is, these things, the signal goes, the top of the thing opens, or the side of the thing open, the semi opens. These things just go swarming out. And then they come in as a swarm, and they hit so fast from only about 1 mile or 2 miles away.
Right.
Because mine is I can fly it 2.5 miles out, 2.5 miles back. They go out and they kamikaze right into the sitting planes.
But why are they the first people to think of that? That seems really like the obvious use
many
of drones.
Many people have thought of it, but no one's actually implemented it. Like, for instance, there were people on YouTube who, they were attaching flamethrowers and guns to Mavics.
Yeah.
I myself bought a little thing that can remotely drop.
I remember I was sitting in the hot tub and you sent over a drink.
Sent over a drink and dropped it. Well, why not send over a grenade? Not to you, but
right. Thank you.
So, but the problem is, as soon as anything is deployed in any battle, eventually both sides start using it. So now what the Russians are doing is they're using the same tactics, except they've attached these spools of fiber optic cable, which is pretty strong. It's like fishing line. And that lets the drone, and it's a nightmare for the Ukrainians because these drones are coming in and they're basically hardwired. They can't be jammed. And so they come right in, and that spool can go for many miles. It reduces the battery life because more weight, the less battery, that sort of thing. But these things come in. So now the Ukrainians are using those. So what's the point of all this?
What is the point?
The point of all this is right now we have all these embargoes and tariffs and everything. And the problem is we have like 2 or 3 people per U.S. port doing inspections.
Wow.
And if you've ever seen...
So it could happen here.
Yes. And we just have, we have all these cargo ships coming in with hundreds of containers. So what happens, those containers are loaded right onto a rail car or right onto a semi-trailer truck. And you're talking thousands of containers a day. And we have Port of Elizabeth in New Jersey. We have Port of Los Angeles down in LA. We also have, which on the border of Washington State and Oregon, we have a Port of Kalama. Now these trucks get loaded, and they've busted this before, where once they're on the highway, they're rolling.
Wow.
They can roll to any part of the country. So people like, well, we could just stop what if we just stop the containers? Well, here's another problem. Chinese Communist Party owned ZPMC, which makes all those huge cranes you see when you're going to like JFK Airport. Well, that's Port of Elizabeth right there.
Right.
These cranes are the things that load and unload and offload all the containers. 90% of our ports cranes are owned by the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh my God.
And they even found a remote control unit on one of them.
Oh my God.
In Port of Los Angeles. So that can take in a radio signal. They haven't told us what that was about yet. But basically, a lot of the port experts are like, they can remotely control these things from Beijing. They can flip ships if they want to. These things are massive.
Oh my God, we're so vulnerable.
But here, the final part of this skullduggery at a grand scale is this. Port Elizabeth, which is in New Jersey, it's in 2 districts. It overlaps 2 districts. And again, anyone who's been to like JFK Airport, will know that those giant cranes, that's all Port Elizabeth. Okay. Well, the 2 Congress people in charge of these respective overlapping districts are...
Yes, baby. I'm just checking.
Do you want to?
No, baby. I'm just checking.
Darling, Candy Crush can wait. Okay. So, anyways, one district is the lead congressperson is Menendez.
Oh my God.
Menendez? You know what he's famous for? Oh, his dad went to prison for taking bribes and gold bars from other countries.
God.
He was a senator. And then the other one, we all know her well, quickly becoming my favorite, is LaMonica McIver, who was beating up on some ICE agents, is currently facing criminal charges. Well, you know what committee she happens to sit on?
Shipping?
The Committee on China.
Oh my God.
And you know what she does?
It's so corrupt. How will we ever?
You know what she does in these hearings?
What?
She doesn't shill for China. She, every time they, like when they were talking about the cranes in February of 2025, once she got the mic, she's like, well, that's all fine and good, but we need to talk about the evil power in this country that is taking away people's rights. And yes, I'm talking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And she derails the whole conversation every time. That's what she gets paid for.
Wow.
And she wasn't even really elected. The guy she replaced died.
Wow.
And she came in November of 2024 and got right on that committee.
So what's your headline for this riff?
My headline is, well, war is upon us. War is within our borders. The enemy is in the gates. And you have to look at every single thing that's going on because it does affect you. And I will say this, how can you fight against this? A really easy one is if you see a semi-trailer truck parked in the woods for a couple days, call the cops.
Right.
Because it doesn't, anything can happen. I never thought we'd see this.
Right.
I never thought the drone, and I used to say to you, man, you could probably drop a grenade with this thing. Well, now they're dropping grenades.
Right, totally. Well, sorry, baby.
So I would just leave it at that. But, you know, just remember that, like, yes, China, but China does want us dead. They pretty much said it. China dream is getting rid of us and being the global hegemon by 2049. So I always say, eliminate. What you want to do is you want to get to the tactics and look at other countries that have fallen to something called the Belt and Road and see what happened there before they were forced to sign on to this toxic financing, which is the Chinese Communist Party's way of controlling countries. You will see similarities happening here. You'll see a switch to green energy. Then you'll see a collapse of that energy grid. Then you'll see regulatory warfare where they're buying off politicians in those countries. The Chinese move slowly but deliberately, and they're very patient. We think in 4-year terms, they think in dynasties. So
you've been right all along with your warnings about China. Just to wrap up that segment, are we seeing an escalation in Russia and Ukraine that is like leading us into World War III, or can we leave it there for now?
That was, I mean, I'll say it. I agree with Vladimir Putin. That attack during negotiations, that's an act of terror, plain and simple. And I don't blame Putin. Like, why would he want to negotiate peace at this point?
Why would Zelensky have blown up Russia's facilities during negotiations if he wanted to bring an end to the war?
Zelensky's not his own boss. He never has been.
Who is his boss?
His boss, I would say the EU.
Okay.
And Starmer, because And because they like Starmer, for instance, he's all about like, oh, Ukraine, we got to get boots on the ground. You know why? Because he has most of the country's pension funds invested in BlackRock's Ukraine redevelopment fund.
Unbelievable.
So of course he has to go in there because when the Brits find out, they're going to lose their minds.
So you're saying Zelensky doesn't want to end the war. He doesn't want negotiations to be successful.
I think Zelensky's just like, the guy that we had in Afghanistan. He was always on the take. And it's like, okay, when the time is right, flee. And then,
right. But are you saying that the leader of Ukraine does not want to end the war in Ukraine? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think he cares about Ukraine at all. I think that's demonstrable. I think he's always been on the take. He's got an exit strategy. His goal is to keep that war going so it escalates, which allows the EU to justify their massive spending promises on defense. Right. It also keeps the war going against Russia because let's face the facts, it's more than just semi-precious minerals and rare earths. Their biggest customer, Russia's biggest customer for natural gas and oil, is the EU.
Oh, wow.
So why not take him out and take it so you don't have to keep buying it off him?
Oh, my God.
The only problem they have is China ain't going to let that happen because Russia and China are in like an abusive marriage. Russia doesn't want to be there, but they sure can't trust us anymore. Right. So you're back in bed with China.
Can't they theoretically trust us now that Trump's in charge?
Yeah, but he's going to be gone.
Right.
Oh. That's the thing. Like the thing, like Xi Jinping is not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay. He made himself literally party chairman for life.
Right.
Back in 2023.
Right.
So he's not going anywhere. So you have some consistency. I'm not saying it's good consistency, but sometimes consistency for a lot of people is better than uncertainty.
Right.
We have uncertainty.
I gotcha.
And that's a problem for a lot of people. So
but
it's
a democracy is always going to have more uncertainty on a global stage than a totalitarian regime.
It is. And, let's not forget that it could be China themselves keeping this going. Who knows?
Right.
But whatever it is, it's, the land that Russia sits on is very valuable. Very valuable. And Russia also stands in the way of the continent going completely to a digital currency.
Right. Oh wow. Okay.
That's just my 2 cents.
That's really good, baby. Although also very scary. I mean, what can we do?
Well, we do everything we're doing, because when you think about war, right? War is they're going to get behind enemy lines. So there's people here trying to break people apart and keep them divided, trying to poison our young people so the next generation is wiped out before 2049. Right. So there's no one to fight.
Right.
So you keep doing what you're doing. I think what you're doing is smart, and what you've done and people you're currently working with and have worked with is smart. You're focused on your lane.
Right.
Pick a lane and stick with it.
That's good advice.
Finding out that Bill Gates is evil, we all know that's a waste of people's time. Right. So for everyone out there, and I say this on my show, Investigate Everything, for everyone out there, pick a topic that either you're very interested in, you have knowledge in, or that directly affects you, like our friend Autumn out there in Michigan.
Yeah.
She's directly affected by Pfizer and deals with China to make battery manufacturing plants that ruin farmland. So she's out there, she's driving out there, and she's stuck with that. Or JJ Carroll, focused on the border, did it for 25 years. Right. So pick a lane and stick with it, and then try to find people in other lanes. And I don't know, do what these guys are doing, like get together, put together reports and get them out there. Right. Become your own CIA, become your own DNI, if you will. Right. And if it's a well enough done report, Director of National Intelligence, but if it's a well done report, it should read like a president's daily brief, which he gets daily, where you're putting that out, on Substack, or publishing it, or sending open letters and saying, this is happening, this, with great sources, great experts, everything like that. Trust me, if people get organized that way, an organized force is really unstoppable.
But for people who are listening to this and just don't have time for that, isn't just talking to your friends and neighbors very effective?
Yeah,
also?
Absolutely. That is so important, actually. Yeah. And just sharing this stuff, not just on X, like sharing it on, printing it out. You could even do things if you want to feel a little spy-y, like print out a few copies of like their letter and leave it at truck stops, which I love to do, because then it's going to go all over the country.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, baby. Well, that was invigorating. We've only got a few minutes left. So I don't get what's going on between Elon Musk and President Trump. Partly, I think, because I'm not a man and it seems like a giant, I'm not going to say it on air, but something match. So what's the deal? Why are they breaking up? Do they love each other? Are they heartbroken?
I took a nap yesterday morning and I wake up and the whole world has changed. And the first thing I asked Naomi is like, how long was I asleep? Like, wait, Elon Musk are fighting. We got cats and dogs living together. Like, what is happening? That's hat tip Bill Murray. I don't know. It seems very performative to me.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. Some people say, oh, that's so they can release the Epstein files. I don't know about that, because they could do that anyways.
Right.
So I don't know really what it's all about.
But Elon Musk said that President Trump was in the Epstein files.
Yeah, but it's like everyone, like, what is, so being in the Epstein files?
He flew on the plane. I know.
He's in the files because they did it. No, he didn't fly on the plane.
He didn't?
No.
Okay, sorry. I take it back.
So basically they have pictures of the same party. And as you know, being at a party with these people.
We've been at a party.
There's a list.
Or I've been at a party.
You normally don't know your host. If you do, like if Trump found out Epstein's there, as you all know, he said, no, that guy's a scumbag. I don't want him here. Right. So, people put these out of context pictures, but in that world, and Naomi's been in that world, and I was her +1. In that world, she's like, oh, we're going to this new screening of this film. I'm like, oh, great. Do you know these people? She's like, no, of course not. I'm on the list.
Right.
You get invited to be the
That's
interesting party people.
Yeah. Either the A list or the B list. I was often on the B list.
She knew she was on the B list. I asked her one time, I said, how do you know when you're on the B list? She goes, because NPR is there. That was like one of your best ones. So what's going on? I don't know. I'm looking at a couple things. I always follow the money, so I'm keeping my eye on Tesla stock. I think this.
Oh, his investors want him to focus on Tesla and break up with President Trump and politics.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at that. This has also got all the media and the right-wing media's attention.
Right. So something else.
By the way, the influencers, I'll say it again, you guys are getting quickly just as bad as the legacy media.
Yeah.
Because you're all saying that. I don't even, except for Bannon, you, and like a couple other people, I don't even listen to like who I used to listen to on these podcasts because they're all saying the same thing.
It's talking points, baby.
It's terrible. They're all like, what? Food is unhealthy. Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, shut up. So anyways, what's happening? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, again, usually as we've seen with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, there'll be a big noise over here while something more important and usually good for the country. Right. I'm not an influencer, but we've seen like, okay, all the focus is on Signal and headset.
Right.
Meanwhile, they are making a deal with Saudi Arabia, which thwarts a switch off our currency as the petro dollar.
You're right. And he is a dramatist.
Yeah. So if something's really important, he always wants the media focused here.
Right, you're right. All right, I guess we'll see in a week or two.
And so why would you feed that to the conservative influencers? Because legacy media has gotten so lazy, they just wait to see what the new conservative media is saying, and then they just hijack their stories.
What a world. What an upside down world. You'd think it would be a much better upside down world, but it's only an okay, better upside down world.
Well, it's as confusing as it is, it's actually getting pretty easy to figure out.
Right.
I can say this on your side.
Yes. Well, who is my side?
On your side of the battle, in your lane.
Okay.
It's pretty easy to figure out what's going on with these shots and everything. This is
you better say it quickly.
The whole mRNA, whole mRNA industry.
Yes.
They've got many, many products coming down the pike. That's why it's not about the vaccines for them. It's about the mRNA.
I know.
Because I won't say his name, but one garden gnome attacked you, and he basically he's always been about mRNA. He claims to have invented it. So,
baby, don't be mean.
I'm not being I'm being a little mean, but who cares? The point is, they attack without context.
Right.
So when you see someone, that's a good tell for people. When someone attacks you without context, out of the blue, okay, they're obviously. They've got a vested interest in this very thing you're attacking.
We only have one more minute. What is the point? What are they trying to protect?
Well, there's many other uses for mRNA.
Right.
So
but it doesn't work, honey. So what is
the vaccine doesn't work, but that's not the point. It was never meant to work.
So what does it do?
It's a deployment device for seasonal illnesses. So
but it doesn't work for seasonal illnesses.
No. It makes you sick seasonally.
Oh.
Think about the self-amplifying. You could program this thing for every year. Don't you think it's odd that flu season is at the same time every year, even though we have 4 different climates in this country? Like, it's flu season, and everyone just accepted that. I'm like, wait, how does everyone get the flu at the same time?
Sweetheart, you're right, because when I was growing up, there wasn't flu season.
There wasn't flu season. How is it flu season in driest, hottest Arizona at the same time as in snowy Maine?
Alaska.
It makes no sense.
Oh my God, you're right.
Think of the Microsoft model.
How is it? We've never had this conversation before, and we think about these things all day long.
I don't know.
That's so cynical.
You're too busy talking to your friends.
No, this is so cynical, but I think you're right.
Shannon Joy.
I think you're right, honey.
Yeah,
that's
because
so dark.
Well, you said it. I got the idea from you, like in the beginning of the vaccine rollout, vaccine in quotes. You said it. You're like, God, this is just like the Microsoft model. Yeah. Because Microsoft, for you younglings out there, used to be a CD that you stuck in your computer and it worked forever.
Right.
Then it became this online thing where you have to renew your subscription every year. Well, recurring revenue is that's the goal of any successful
But
business.
how do they make more money rolling out an mRNA platform that they can update rather than just rolling out new shots every year that they can pretend work with a big advertising?
Well, you need people to be sick, actually sick. Let's not forget that, like, we had our, our friend James O'Keefe before, his colleagues screwed him, but he's going to take that company back. But let's not forget that he had the guy from Boston Consulting on,
right.
Hidden camera, and he was actually saying, there's been talk about manipulating the virus to sell more vaccines. I mean, look,
baby, I know you're right. You know how I know you're right? Yep. And we've run out of time and our dog is snoring, which is pretty cute, but,
go ahead.
Cute. Okay. I know you're right. Here's why, because Pfizer knew way back 2020 to 2021 that they were going to cause massive menstrual problems, excessive bleeding in millions of women, and they bought Myfembree, which is medication for treating excessive bleeding in women. And they're making far more from Myfembree than they did even from the COVID injection. And so that model is correct. This is so evil.
And I know we got to go. But there's more. Really quickly. You could also stick it in wildlife.
Yes.
Okay. Now.
Then they're sick.
Now, wildlife doesn't really get sick. We don't really notice when they do.
Right.
But the thing is, it's like if you put it in wildlife, who does that help?
I don't know.
That helps the anti-gun lobby.
What? Oh.
Think about
hunters.
It. Barbara Hahn over at Carey Institute, 20 minutes from this house. She was the one who was behind all of that stuff about white-tailed deer getting COVID.
Right.
Don't hunt.
Right.
And
hunt.
She finished her research. She finished her research in June. They released it during hunting season. And you saw gun sales go down.
Right. Totally.
And what's the Carey Institute? Well, Barbara Hahn happens to be a collaborator from, Peter Daszak and the gang.
Oh my God, it's all such a close circle, darling. We've run out of time. We have to say goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, if you want to support independent commentary and Bill Kim and Legisector, our incredible new product over on legisector.com, we need your help. That's how we survive. We don't take money for our opinions. There's a firm line between editorial and advertising. No one tells us what to say. And we're also bringing you Bill Cam, which lets you share any state or federal bill and take action on it. And our new product Legisector, which you've got to sign up for. We need to hit 3,000 subscribers this month. And if you care about daily clout and you care about transparent legislation and you're in any one of 24 sectors, infrastructure, cannabis, real estate,
it's a good
healthcare,
tool.
It's a fantastic tool.
The Investigate Everything detectives, they're
all over it.
They're getting it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
They love it.
It's cheaper than LexisNexis states, even though it does essentially the same thing, much cheaper. So go on over there and you're going to get an incredible digital product that updates you in real time of legislation in your sector. And you're also helping independent news and media and comment and legislative transparency stay alive.
And if you refer 10 subscriptions, I will name a bear after you.
There you go. How can you turn that down? Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time in the Lair. In the Lair. Bye-bye.